Welcome everyone and a happy Friday to you. In the world of MMA, we have some absolutely fantastic news today and some absolutely terrible news. Conor McGregor is out of his comeback fight in UFC 303 due to injury. Hamzat has pulled out of the fight against Bobby Knuckles due to illness. And the announcement of Yuri Prochazka, Alex Periera 2. So without further ado, let's get straight into this episode of MMA News. Unfortunately, this morning, I and the rest of the MMA community in the UK woke up to this just terrible news. I mean, obviously, we don't really see until the morning unless you're a little freak and you stay up until about 5 in the morning every day. But I'm going to just say it's not the type of news you want to be waking up to. UFC 303 is so close and we've been waiting a long time for it. Let's be real. I mean, come on, if you follow MMA, you've been following this fight for like the past year, okay? Since last year's tough season. I mean, stuff was getting pretty heated between the two. I'm not going to lie. I mean, mostly on McGregor's side. Obviously, McGregor's having some sort of issue with his ankle. I suppose after the third fight with Periera, and obviously that devastating, that brutal ankle snap, it's going to have a toll on your career. Especially at his age as well. I mean, he's 35. I think he's a little bit past his prime now. Let's be real. He's a bit past his prime. But it doesn't matter because we all want to see Conor McGregor fight. A Conor McGregor fight is a guaranteed banger. It is a guaranteed scrap. I mean, possibly the most entertaining fighter that I've ever watched in MMA. Style-wise, his technique. I mean, let's not forget about the likes of John Jones and Mighty Mouse. But McGregor is one of the best ever of all time. So really, it's just a huge kick in the nuts for the MMA community. But this news could be worse. Uncle Dana has sorted us out. Uncle Dana has provided us with an alternative fight. And that is none only than Yuri Prochazka versus Alex Periera 2. Bro, I'm not even going to lie. I'm so fucking buzzing, bro. Controversial opinion, I might actually be more excited for this fight than I was McGregor Chandler. Like, it really just would sadden me to see Michael Chandler get fucking pieced up and picked apart like a little child's dinner. But come on. Prochazka v Periera 2. The first fight was so good. I actually thought Yuri was going to come on top at some points. Unfortunately, Periera got the finish, but what a fight it was. Now, if you look at both fighters, they're both coming off a win. And in both cases, two devastating knockouts. Obviously, Periera finishing off Jamal Hill 3 minutes into the first round with a beautiful lunging left hook. And the fight before this, Periera was coming off the back of a win against Yuri Prochazka himself. Periera is now 10-2 in MMA. Let's be real, it's an amazing record, but the man's pedigree is disgusting. I don't know how many times world champion he was in kickboxing. Oh, you know what, we're looking this up right now. So not only has he just come into MMA, gone straight to the biggest MMA promotion on the planet and won the world title in 2 weight divisions, both middleweight and light heavyweight, but he was also a 2-weight division in kickboxing, obviously with the promotion Glory. So I'm going to go through his kickboxing stats and his MMA stats so far. So in his 25 amateur fights, he went 22-3 and won all 22 fights by knockout. Now his Glory record was 12 wins, 4 losses, and 8 of those wins coming by knockout. His average fight time was 8 minutes and 10 seconds. So he's averaging just over 2.5 rounds per fight. Come on. A 15-1 knockdown ratio and a 49% striking accuracy. Enough of the stats. Everyone knows who Alex Periera is and everyone knows how good he is. Everyone knows how devastating he is. How feared he is. Now in his MMA career, he's had 10 wins, 2 losses and 8 of those wins coming by knockout. Now unfortunately for him, on his MMA debut, he didn't have a great time. He got submitted. He got rear naked choked by Kenmore Tony, obviously outside of the UFC. I remember his UFC debut watching it. It was against Mcgregor, I think. And he won by flying knee, yeah? I mean, obviously he's got a huge striking advantage and a huge disadvantage on the ground, which is why I'm a bit surprised why fighters don't take him down as much. Sean Strickland wanted to stay on the feet with him and strike him. Oh no! And obviously so did Izzy. And where did that get Izzy? Literally got him nowhere. He got knocked out. Now his loss against Israel Adesanya must have been what sparked this amazing run in form. So after suffering his first KO loss in MMA to Israel Adesanya, he ended up moving up weight and fighting Jan Blachowicz, beat him on decision, then fought Yuri Prochazka, and then knocked out Jamal Hill. It's disgraceful, really. Like, how can you come into a promotion and be this comfortable? I don't get it. The man moved up a weight and won the UFC world title. Look, the man is huge. The man is scary. The man is devastating. I wouldn't want to fight him, and probably most of the light heavyweight division wouldn't want to fight him either. Going on to Yuri Prochazka, the man's record is no joke. It is no joke. His record stands 30 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw, winning 26 of those fights by knockout and losing 3 of them by knockout. He's only been subbed once, but he's also had 3 submission... What? He's only been subbed once, but he's also had 3 submission wins. He has beat people of the likes of Dominic Reyes by knockout with a devastating spinning elbow, I'm pretty sure. He beat Glover Teixeira by submission. Glover by submission, yeah? Have that. And just recently, Alexander Rakic. He's too good, man. He's too good. So Yuri has 3 times the amount of fights as Alex. He has a very unorthodox style, whereas Alex is more traditional. He stands up tall, keeps his distance. I mean, his distancing is beautiful. He'll go in with a shot, back away, and then come back in again. Sort of like 2 or 3 phase attacks, if you know what I mean. It's just a boxing term I use. Just to let you know, I am more clued up with boxing, but I'm learning. It's good. It's good for me, okay? Also, during the fight against Alexander Rakic, Rakic was utilising the calf kicks beautifully, and Yuri was just stood there. Didn't even try and check any of the kicks. He just stood there and took them, which will be a big issue. I mean, even in that fight, his leg looked hurt. And we know that Periera has some devastating leg kicks. I mean, you saw him kicking DC. Devastating. So here's a clip of Yuri eating some kicks from Periera. Now just listen to some of these shots. It is like a gunshot going off, okay?
Different than anything they teach you. His leg's already hurt, Joe. It's already hurt. It's already hurt.
What Yuri did so well in the first fight, he was constantly moving forward, constantly pushing Periera back towards the cage and then shooting for single legs. And he was having some success with this. Sometimes he didn't have success with it, especially in the first round. Periera had him locked up tight in a guillotine with his back up against the cage. It didn't look good. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. But it was no match for Yuri. Yuri ended up picking him up and slamming him. Boom, takedown number 1. Now this is where he does his best work. Popping elbows in, ground and pound. Periera is weak when he's on his back. Periera is weak on the ground. He allowed Yuri to posture up and throw shots in. As he was pushing Alex back, he was getting control of his hands. He was holding his hands. As he was coming forward, he was landing these lovely hooks and a couple overhands as well. And it actually looked like in the middle of the round that Yuri had Alex hurt, throwing accurate flurries of punches at him and then continually backing him up. No matter what Periera did, he'd try and pivot around the cage, didn't work. Yuri was constantly putting that pressure on him. So later on in the second, Yuri lands a flush right hand over the top, straight onto Pereira's jaw. And I was thinking, bruh, Pereira's going to get fucking knocked out at this rate if he keeps doing what he's doing. No. Periera countered him, dropped him, started smashing elbows in, and then ended up finishing Yuri. Some might say early stoppage. I'm not sure. Yuri looks okay, but let's be real. If you've just eaten 3 or 4 elbows from Periera while trying to take him down, you're not going to be okay. So this is where Yuri needs to be careful. We know that Pereira's counterpunching is elite, as we saw a couple times in this fight. So maybe in this fight, will we see a Yuri that is more focused on his groundwork, on his grappling, because he seemed to be having a lot of success on the ground. Obviously, he was having a lot of success on the feet, but he's going in there with an elite class striker, and I don't think it's wise for him to stay on the feet. One mistake and he's dead, bruv. He's dead. Now, Periera most likely at the moment is working on his ground game. Now, if we see him up a level in this, he will be a totally different fighter. He just recently won his black belt, but don't let that fool you, okay? Don't let it fool you. Anytime I've seen him on the ground, he doesn't look comfortable. He's not as sharp as he is on the feet. Yuri needs to stop getting so, I wouldn't say greedy, but he's just so hungry to get an extra punch in. He landed 2 flush shots, pressed Alex up against the cage. Maybe what would do him some good is if he took a step back, reset, and went straight back in for more, instead of getting reckless and wild and end up getting countered running forward. So you may be wondering what my take on this fight is. Who do I think is going to win? Recently, I've learned to love Alex Periera with a passion, but something deep down is telling me that Yuri is going to win the world title back. And I really hope so. I really, really hope so. Yuri is one of my favourite fighters to watch. He's so original and he's so different to everyone else. Like I said at the start of the video, he's just so unorthodox. He's so odd. He's tricky to judge and he just doesn't give a f***. Now, we're not just talking about Yuri Prochazka versus Alex Periera, okay? Now, this bit of news has really upset me, okay? Khamzat Chimaev's out. Khamzat's out. When I first heard this news, I was a little bit like, again, what is the problem with this guy? Until Dana said that he is violently ill, like not in a good way whatsoever. Now, a photo was posted to his Instagram story earlier, and it doesn't look good. Now, we don't know what this illness is, but apparently it was a very serious medical emergency. So unfortunately, we will not get to see Bobby Knuckles fight Khamzat anytime soon. I hope he recovers well, and I hope he's all good, and I hope that we see him fighting fit soon. So Khamzat's replacement is an odd one. He's been replaced by Aliskerov. Something like that. Get this. In the last 2 years, Aliskerov has had 6 fights scheduled, and 5 of them cancelled. The one fight that actually went ahead out of these, he won by knockout in the first round against Warley Alves, and that was at UFC 294, which was last October, a long time ago. Look, let's be real, the guy's inactive. He may have a very good record of 15-1, but Bobby's got a better pedigree, ex-UFC champion, amazing fighter on the feet. I don't really think there's much to be said about this fight. I think Bobby Knuckles walks out there with his arm raised. He has 15 wins and 1 loss, and his loss coming by way of knockout by guess who? Khamzat Chimaev. Fuck it, this desk won't stop wobbling. Khamzat Chimaev, 5 years ago in 2019. Since then, he's been on a 7-fight winning streak, and the last 3 fights being in the UFC. One on Dana White's Contender Series in 2022 as well. 6 of his wins coming by way of knockout, and 5 coming by way of submission. So the guy seems pretty well rounded. But now let's take a look at Bobby Knuckles' record, okay? He's not been in the best of form recently. Bobby Knuckles has had 26 wins and 7 losses, so double the amount of fights as his opponent. He's won 3 out of his last 5 fights, winning against Kelvin Gastelum, Marvin Vettori, and Paulo Costa most recently. Now, after his loss to Israel Adesanya, he's been pretty inactive, you could say. He's had 3 fights in the last 2 years, winning 2 of those fights and losing 1 to Dricus du Plessis. Now, if you watch Bobby Knuckles fight against Paulo Costa, absolute war. Look, if you want to get into MMA and UFC and stuff like that, and you want to watch good fights, go and watch Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa. An absolute war from the starting bell to the end. Just 15 minutes of pure chaos. They smashed the living out of each other. Now, in this 15-minute fight, Bobby Knuckles landed 95 significant strikes, as opposed to Paulo Costa's puny 65. Okay, let's be real, not puny number. Paulo Costa landed a fucking beautiful head kick, which actually wobbled Bobby Knuckles. Enough said, Bobby Knuckles is going to win. He's won 9 of his 25 fights by knockout, and won 3 by submission. Oh no, 5 by submission, meaning he's won 11 by decision. Look, let's be real, he's well-rounded, he's an animal, that's all that needs to be said. Bobby Knuckles is the man who's going to be coming out on top, and that's all that needs to be said, mate. Now, I hope you enjoyed the first video. I haven't had much time to plan this because I had an impulse and really felt the need to make a video, and I really wanted to just do it. But either way, I really hope you enjoyed this video today. I will be doing more research into my videos in the near future. You will be seeing some boxing analysis videos, and you will also be seeing some MMA analysis videos, which I will give a go, okay? Because I'm not so great with the technical aspect on the ground, but if I want to learn, I've got to start somewhere. So yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you soon in the next video at some point this week, maybe tomorrow. I've been the Not So Combat Specialist. See you later.